Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of our weekly press briefing here in the foyer of the Executive Mansion. Today is Friday, October 7, 2005. It's an honor to be back here after a period of being away on national duty, and I'm happy to reconnect with all of you. His Excellency, the President, is also very happy to be back home. As all of us are aware, the President was on away, so he was away. Those of you following in the diaspora, in the counties, all over the world, Liberians and friends of Liberia, we'd like to again welcome you to this press briefing. The press briefing is our way of informing the public and keeping the public informed of the activities and actions and decisions of His Excellency President Joseph Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia and Commander-in-Chief of the Liberian Armed Forces. It has been a very busy time for the Office of the President, and as you know, as I mentioned earlier, President Boakai has been away for nearly 2 weeks, embarking on a state visit mission to Paris, France, on the invitation of President Emmanuel Macron, where President and his delegation was there in France and received by his counterpart, the President of France. There are a number of engagements held in France, but key among those was the bilateral engagement with our President and the President of France, Honorable Emmanuel Macron. And in that discussions, as we've announced earlier, our President was well welcomed and praised for his work so far he's doing in our country. And more so that the President of France was very happy to welcome our President and his delegation, and has been following the track record of what His Excellency is doing and his engagement with other counterparts across the world. And that meeting also, our President did request for a number of different things, especially on the bilateral. One has to do with France's support for Liberia's once it comes to a point where the conversation around being chairing of the sanction committee, that France will support Liberia, especially France being a member of the P5 countries. In that bilateral, the President also requested France support to our President's initiative in empowering women and young people and persons with disability, something that the President of France really appreciated and thought that it was good that they're having the conversation, and also that the President invited the President of France to come to Liberia and to also pay a return visit, something he also have accepted and requested the both teams. But prior to the one-on-one, the engagement with the two presidents, there was also a luncheon, that is a lunch meeting held with our President and the Liberian delegation. And that meeting also looked at France and Liberia's relationship over the years and what have been some of the issues or even some of the programmatic decisions and programmatic plans that France have been supporting Liberia. Some of which there are some things that France agreed to support Liberia during the past administration, but that wasn't fully realized or actualized. So this visit also helped to reactivate the conversation. And Liberia and France have had a relationship for a very long time. The agreement that brought the two countries together was also looked at and reviewed, so that it's really current and is commensurating with the current day reality in our country. Following those key engagement with the two presidents in their different delegations, our President also engaged key business leaders. So France has a conglomeration of business organizations, call them MEDEF, the highest employers in France, meaning all the major companies, all the big companies in France and Europe at large are member of this organization, and President Boakai had the opportunity to engage with them and spoke about the need for their presence here, but to also collaborate in different areas and really push Liberia's agenda on the private sector and the private sector's development. Because for our president, he believes that our issues with jobs and the difficulties and challenges with job opportunity is the development of a private sector. So these engagements in the Republic of France were especially so to help to, show Liberia, showcase Liberia and say, we are ready, Liberia is open for business. But most importantly, that Liberia is looking forward to engaging from an economic perspective. It's not only because we need their support, it's not even being looked at as a quote-unquote charity country or just come and give, but to be an equal partner, to be seen in that light, that Liberia can as well contribute to the different conversations and the current way in which our country is moving on economic diplomacy. So the visit concluded with our president meeting the Liberian community. Since our president ascended to the office of president, all of his travels, especially majority of his travels, he's engaged the Liberian communities to be able to talk about issues specifically to the communities that Liberians reside, where he visits, but also with issues that they're faced with challenges and whatnot. So this was also part of that, and a bigger conversation of the diaspora conference, the first one he organized in September when he visited the United States of America, where he brought together Liberians from all parts of the world in a major diaspora conference. So these engagements were all part of the president's plan and agenda to, continue to bring Liberians together, but also let them know that their country is open. And I like to also again emphasize that these engagements are normally organized by the communities themselves, and everyone is welcomed. Over the time, people come and share their experiences, so it's not unique to only people who support the president's agenda or support the president's ideology. In fact, the president likes for people who differ with some of his policies, his decisions or conversation to come to these forums where they can engage and talk about the challenges and engage and have a dialogue. For him, he's really open to engaging all parts and sector of the country. Following the president's conclusion of his visit to Paris, he embarked on a working mission in the United Arab Emirates, specifically going to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where he had very interesting engagements with the president and ruler of Abu Dhabi and the president of the UAE. And that meeting was very important for the president. They engaged to talk about the bilateral relationship and to improve, the relationship, but more so how can the UAE support Liberia's pathway to development. So there were conversations around infrastructure support, education, knowledge sharing, innovation, jobs creation. And the team there were really very excited to receive our president and promised to work along with Liberia to support the government's agenda, to develop our country. The president also engaged with a group called Guards. These are groups that specifically works with security matters and also help with employment opportunities. I'm happy to announce that they have agreed to support Liberia in terms of job opportunities, but the modalities have been worked on. And this particular meeting, the president had the opportunity to come and engage with them, but the UAE have pledged a $5 million, a 5 million job opportunity for Africans. And our country, Liberia, is pushing to be part of the African countries that will receive the highest. And the president did make the request to the team there, and they were very, very, very excited, especially TransGuard security organization that works to employ people of all works of areas, whether it is in security, in employment, in lots of other means. And there have been the opportunity for job creation and to work along with the president and our government in pushing forward to providing job opportunity for young people. The visit was very exciting for His Excellency. He engaged a lot of key business leaders, and in fact, one of the outcomes of the president's visit was that he did also invite the president and leader of UAE to visit Liberia. And they were excited, and in fact, they expressed their interest in coming and sending in their team to come to visit Liberia as soon as possible to see what areas of cooperation, what areas of work that they can support Liberia. And that will be happening very soon, and the president is very excited. I also like to inform all of you that I'm sure you all have been following the recent efforts with the Access, Recovery, and Property Retrieval Task Force. The president has welcomed the move, but also it is not that he's specifically or particularly interested in any individuals, but he hopes that all team, everyone who's working for and with any corruption office, any office that relates to accountability, that they should work diligently and fast-track their efforts in their work, because for him, this was one of the key promises he made to the Liberian people, that he's committed to fighting corruption. And the Liberian people have seen his work so far on the mark of suspending public officials who've been accused in some instances, even dismissing people and forwarding them for investigation. So those entities, inclusive of the LACC and others who are working to ensure that corruption cases are investigated, the president is hoping that the team in those institutions will work very hard, not for him particularly, but the Liberian people, because the Liberian people want to know when the president takes a specific action. They want to know that they are getting a result, particularly in conclusion of those investigations. So again, we'd like to thank you for coming as always, and we'll open up for questions. Should you have any, as regularly you will call your name, the institution you represent, and you provide your question. I'm a bit tired. I'm sure you can sense that. We actually came back to the country very early this morning, 5 a.m., but I'm happy to continue to work in the interest of our office and the work in which our president has asked us to do. Thank you all very much, and have a blessed day. Good afternoon. I look forward to taking your question.
Thank you. My name is Prince. I report for the newspaper. I didn't hear you speak about the increase in the visa extension. That's one. Two, how and what prompted that. Another issue is that is there any effort by the government to ensure that the high rate in visa itineraries is reduced? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's a good point. But this news came out of our continued engagement, our president's continued engagement through his foreign ministry team with counterparts, inclusive of the United States, and this decision was made by the U.S. Department of State. It's something that he really appreciate in the extension. Talking of the denial rate, you know, Liberia has a very limited role when it comes to countries in their decision in their own internal processes on how they interview candidates or applicants who are interested in visiting a particular country. However, based on this news, even before now, our foreign ministry team, with mandate from His Excellency the President, is to really work with the U.S. government and all partners involved to really help in ensuring that Liberians who are seeking opportunities, travel opportunities be given, once they reach that qualification as earmarked. But again, then the other thing about looking at the high rate, Liberia, we are not a large country. We're a population of 5 million and plus. So sometimes when you see a few people apply for visa and the denial rate, sometimes when you're comparing it to other countries, it makes it quite seem as if it's a lot of denial. But obviously, this is something that the government have been working on. But again, there are limitations as to what the U.S. government and what interviews, the questions have been asked Liberia as a sovereign country and the United States as a sovereign country. Liberia does not have, a role to play in terms of that. But on the diplomatic side, of course, there have been continued engagement. I do know that the president, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, have had a series of meetings with the United States government, with the embassy near Monrovia, to really have conversation around this matter. And this is something that they are working, on to see what the possibilities are. So, basically, that's what I would say to that. Yes, I saw a hand up in the back there. Oh, yeah, Reagan.
My name is Reagan S. Levy, and I report for the Liberian News Agency. What the PB is, there are a lot of criticism from the public. People who believe that there are people who believe that the president is not doing much. He's traveled a lot, and those travels are now yielding fruit. Looking at the recent travels, and there are a lot of people who think that the country is not benefiting from these travels by the president. Madam PDS, can you disabuse the minds of people who believe in this kind of talk, or who think that these travels are not yielding fruit? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. On the I don't want to say a lot of people are criticizing or thinking that the travels are not yielding fruit without any particular data or specific numbers as to whether, do a sample as to whether or not that's happening. But I do know there will obviously be critics as to whatever the government does or whatever the president will be doing. There will always be critics. However, our job here is to provide the information. But the president's travel have yielded a lot of different fruits and a lot of opportunities from the day one. First of all, as a government, as a president, when you get into office, you have, the onus is on you to introduce your agenda to your counterparts globally. So that first mission when he got elected was to do just that, to introduce himself, the administration, the agenda, and to garner, support to say our country is open. We're looking forward to working with all of you, and that has happened. Also, one of the most important thing prior to this government or this administration, previous administration, we had challenges when it comes to our foreign image with our people in the region. Sometimes, projects or programs were being cut short, or other things. For example, our relationship with China, it was really challenging before now. So by the president's visit and meeting Xi Jinping, the president of China, and bringing Liberia case on the table to talk about some of the projects that have not been implemented. That's why you see today you have the overhead pass that's been reactivated. You have other road projects. You have other major projects that's going to be happening soon. Even on the agriculture front, the president visit to Rome in Italy. That was a high-level meeting, and there was an engagement with the team over there to be able to support the president's agriculture plan. And there have been a lot of other, other engagement, even with the United States. In fact, this decision of the visa extension, for example, when the president met with President Trump in the United States of America, as one of 5 presidents who were invited to the White House, President Barack was invited, and the conversations and discussions were held. And today we have visa extension. We have U.S. Thinking of doing a lot of different things in our different support. You have the HPX project that's coming up soon. You have other, infrastructure programs that's coming up. So this visit, or these visits that the president has had, it's yielded a lot of positive fruits. And and to think about, it's one of the things I want to, maybe I wouldn't say disabuse the minds of Liberian people, but I just want to inform the public that when a president travels, it doesn't mean you're going to a place to bring bags of money and say, oh, we're coming back with, here is 5 million in this other bag, here is 10 million in this other bag, let's distribute it. That's not how it works. When you travel as a government, as a president, you engage in key partners. I just talked to you right now about the president's engagement in France, meeting the president and his engagement in the UAE. Those engagements will yield fruit. In fact, they're talking of employment opportunities where young Liberians can travel to the UAE and get trained and get employment there in all sectors that they need manpower. Because as you know, when Liberians travel out of the country, you're able to send some remittances to your families, and you can support your families home. You send your own resources. Some Liberians will have businesses here, and that's how the economy grows. And so there have been a lot of support, a lot of impact and output when it comes to the president's travel, and these travels are yielding fruit, and they will continue to yield fruit, because for our president, his interest is not to just go on visit for leisure. He's never taking any vacation or going on visit for leisure. He doesn't go to sit somewhere and enjoy himself or watch other games or other things. He goes to engage people. He goes to engage leaders. He goes to talk about his country and ask specifically for investment in areas that the Liberians will benefit. I'll take a question. You been it.
Okay. Good afternoon, Madam PPS. My name is Liberian, and I work for Sky Communications, Sky FM, Sky Television. Welcome back home.
Thank you.
Two concerns. You talk about security sector from the UAE that is about to help Africa about 5 million jobs. I would like to know what specific job that they are going to create for Africans, most especially Liberians. And two, there's a rumor in Liberia, or let's say on Facebook, that our former president, Ambassador George Monrovia, is seriously sick and being admitted in Ghana, and doctors are contemplating on taking him from Africa to abroad for advanced medical treatment. Is the president concerned about that? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Yuwene. On the aspect of the 5 million job, the UAE is one of the countries, because they're the Gulf countries, inclusive of the different Abu Dhabi and the different regions that they form the Gulf, countries. And UAE, as one of those countries, is becoming attractive to the world. So if you visit, there are lots of job opportunities. For example, in construction, in the service industry, in security, in airlines, and a lot of different areas. So they have put out a bold mission to support Africans of 5 million job opportunities. So it's left up to the African countries and their leadership to try and reach out and work and make the case for their own countries and how they can get a chunk of what UAE has put out. And this was a good time for our government and our president to visit and being a part of that conversation and saying, okay, Liberia, we've not had lots of opportunities, because even some of the meetings that the president had, there were very few Liberians in the sectors, in the industry that they've hired people, and they're looking to increase that number. So imagine our president going and engaging them and say, okay, we know you want to do 5 million for Africans, but can we get at least 10% of that or 5% of that, So that conversation is actively taking place, and there will be, Liberia will benefit a lot. And the team, in fact, the president has asked his team to really work very hard on follow-up mechanisms, because sometimes, you know, when presidents meet and engage, sometimes the real challenge is sometimes they fall through the cracks, the conversation. But our president now, he's really clear with them that you all have to work very, very hard to ensure that our president, the visit that the president made, bring the necessary fruition, because that's what the Liberian people want. On the rumor, as you've mentioned, the rumor of the illness of the former president, His Excellency George Weah. Well, the president has not been briefed or hasn't given any thought on it, but naturally, the president is a president of all Liberians. He looks forward to working with his citizens, and he's wishing everyone well, irrespective of your status in society, whether you're president or former leader or political leader. But no illness is, you know, nobody can be excited by anyone, you know, illness. But we've not spoken about this, but I'm very, very much sure if this rumor is true, because again, it's people's health. You can perceive or you can assume that this person is not well until the person himself or their family members will come and say this person is unwell. So to even say something that is like validating, you know, what's going on, until there's an official statement from the political party or the former president, you don't want to dignify that because it's rumor. But in case, if there's any form, it's speculative, but if there's any form of truth in it, I mean, we wish the former president very well. We pray that he gets well very soon. But we hope that this rumor is just as rumor. And if there no factual thing, we ask Liberians to really desist from speculating someone's illness and thinking that or stating that someone is ill or the former president is ill, or wishing ill health on anyone. You know, it's not what Liberia should be about. Our president stands for a country that every Liberian is well respected, irrespective of your stature or your political thoughts. So it is our hope that the rumor is rumor, and it is false, and those who are spreading it should stop and desist, and allow the former president to, you know, be in the state he is in, do whatever he wants to do as former president, give him that dignity. Again, that's what I can say to that. We wish the families and everyone following this all the best. But again, our president have not expressed anything because it's not been made. Any official information has not come out of that. Yes, is there any? I saw Theo, you had your hand up. Okay. So if not, we'd like to again thank all of you for coming as always, and wish you all a very wonderful Friday and have a good afternoon from my end.
And so that was the voice of the Presidential Press Secretary, Kula Fofana, making statements here at the close of her press conference here at the Executive Mansion. Thank you again for following. For more information, keep following the Executive Mansion page on Facebook. Thank you.